All right, the first person I want to talk about today, before we get into the Moyo Lawa stuff. Well, Moyo Lawa, just so you know, she's trending because she has a sex tape out. So, um, I guess we're gonna review some of the comments when we get there in a few seconds. But let's do some warm up really quickly. Let's talk about Tyrese. We've been trying to cover this for a few days. I just got a few points I want to cover, but I feel like would be some good lessons for all of us. Okay, I've been covering this guy I've covered him twice. He's struggling in the public space with respect to his personal relationships, not just with his ex-wife, but with many other people. And he did an interview recently on New York radio station Breakfast Club, and he was up there basically unpacking a lot of the issues that he has with the relationships with the radio hosts that were supposed to be somewhat of industry friends, But and I picked out a lot of stuff from what he was saying. It's the same issues, okay, and we have to keep pounding some of these same issues. And a lot of men are struggling to lead, okay. And the ladies are not making it easier for them, obviously. The way this works is that if you're struggling to lead, it's a vicious cycle. It literally gets worse, okay. All right, it's not that we can't hold women accountable in certain aspects, depending on what we're talking about. But I'm just warning you, if you already struggle with your leadership competency, if you are on the internet arguing about emotional intelligence, I mean, I saw today earlier a grown man arguing that there's no such thing as emotional intelligence, right? At that point in time, you have to be like, on what grounds can you even claim that, right? On what grounds can you ever claim there's no such thing as emotional intelligence? Now, if it was that easy, all we have to do is red flag anybody who questions emotional intelligence, just avoid them, right? But honestly, it's not that easy either, right? There's this case of Tyrese and his ex, Samantha Lee, who is now a podcaster too, and she's actually a licensed clinical social worker now, right? This case it's not easy. It's not like, I don't want to sit down here and be telling you it's easy, but it's actually simple, okay? It's not easy, but it's simple. Allah, what are you talking about? What's the difference? Well, it's simple, but we're complex beings. So anything that seems too simple, we will complicate it anyway. And that's the case of Tyrese. According to so many records and reports out there, he has some mental situations, and he's supposed to be on meds every now and then. So I can't take his conduct in public too seriously. But honestly, a lot of people are walking around, they've never been diagnosed, and I can't diagnose them here. I'm not going to worry about that. But since it's too many people walking around with you're seeing the same symptoms. You're seeing people literally sitting on the stage on the internet as authority questioning emotional intelligence, right? And then I have to kind of babysit them all the way till the point where they're like, okay, maybe you have a point. I'm like, well, what happens if you don't have that chance, right? What happens if you've destroyed somebody else's life or their chances of seeing green flags, right? Or their chances of ever being able to see a green flag in another human being ever again? What happens? It gets very, very difficult. It gets very, very dicey. Hello, Toby and Tribe. Happy weekend to you. Good to see you. So we're talking about Tyrese, okay? And there's a lot of issues here. Tyrese claims that he woke up one day and he claims that he's debunking the news, right? He's debunking the lies that the wife has told on him. The wife apparently claimed in legal court documents that she was locked out with a 1-year-old baby girl, right? That's what the legal paperwork says, right? But then in the same breath, I'm not gonna play the audio from the radio station and all that stuff. I just reiterate, okay? some of the talking points that Tyrese has been using his own mouth to say. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll see if I can play one or two of his video clips here, right? What's going on, Natu actually sent me a video earlier, more recent video of Tyrese. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me play that video right now. Tyrese is struggling though now. Wow. All right, here we go. I won't be able to play. This is gonna take too long.
I just wanted y'all to put your eyes on me.
All right, I'll pause it for a second. You can see I am King Rudy here. King Rudy is the second half of Peter Paul P Square, right? Nigerian Afrobeats superstar artist, twins brother, right? This is one of them. This is the one that's been divorced. Okay, he said, let me see, hold on.
No, it's, you know, I got people like check on Tyrese, y'all go check on him.
Yeah, I will say, if you're friends with Tyrese, check on him from time to time. Absolutely. Because when a man is going through what he's going through, listen, all types of logic goes out the window more often than none. Okay. And when you start to feel down, you start to feel like no one cares, you're not capable of looking at the information at hand logically, right? You're just kind of caught up in this very funky place emotionally. And it just seems like when you end up in a place as a man that it seems like no one understands you, quite often we find men are resorting to, let me speak my truth, and then it gets worse, because that's not the solution. Speak your truth. I'm not asking you not to speak the truth. Your truth is a bad idea. There's a difference between your truth and the truth, right? You can see I'm not going to play what he's saying here. It was basically just lamenting about the conversation he had with Envy. Envy also comes off as a little bit of a weirdo. Envy is just still lucky to be married, honestly, because a lot of the conduct that Envy put out in, they were having a conversation, he basically went straight for, I'm going to box you in the mouth. Why? Because you disrespected my wife. Yeah, calm down, right? Especially if you're talking to a person you had relationship with and millions of people are listening. But anyway, let's leave envy aside. You can see Rudy here, King Rudy, that I think this is Paul of P Square. It says, you will never understand him until you wear his shoes. Always stay strong, bro. Not so quick, okay? Again, on paper, in black and white, what he just said makes sense. Okay, but we can't keep telling people that are struggling that no one can understand them. There are in fact people that can understand them. Okay, and one thing I can tell you that I understand about people that I find themselves in a place where it feels like no one understands them, I understand them to the point that they there's a big cloud in their judgment because they feel like no one understands them. So the last thing you want to do is to be telling them that no one understands them. Like you tend to say, some people will lose their mind to the point that they take their own mind out completely, like literally take themselves out. Don't tell people that. Instead, stay focused on giving them some type of hope. I guess you were trying to say that when you say always stay strong. But the idea that you will never understand them, that's pregnant. That statement is pregnant. On paper, it makes sense, right? But I know where it's going there, right? There are people who absolutely understand what you're going through, and you just have to make sure you're in a controlled environment before you start opening it up and start talking anyhow. Especially when you're a public figure, the last thing you want to do is jump on the internet and start whining and start. Yeah, it's not just because you're a man. It's when you have responsibilities. It's when you when they say to whom much is given, much is expected. Yes, even if you're a woman and you're a woman of a certain status, you can't afford to jump on the internet and be moving mad because you've actually gone through something. The fact that you've actually gone through something is not a good excuse to put yourself out like that, to leave yourself even more exposed, right? It's the same issue that we're talking about over and over and over again. When you put yourself in a position where you have to do shalaye,
we go explain because no evidence.
Right? And the public does not owe you 117,000 views in 6 hours. They're just being entertained, okay? It's maybe less than 1% that would take it like this, and we actually want to extract lessons out of it, right? So the best thing is still, yes, seek wise counsel. Talk to your pastor, right? No, don't put that expectation on yourself. You don't understand yourself either. You yourself, especially you, that you're inside of that forest, you don't understand yourself. You don't understand what's going on clearly. Clearly, you can't figure out what's going on. You're confused. Anyway, he said his wife moved out by herself. Okay? But then he admitted to locking the doors, changing the locks 4 days later. The wife allegedly put in the legal court papers that she was locked out with a 1-year-old baby girl. Tyrese said, no, when you were packing your stuff, I was on my way home. Okay, this is what he said. I was on my way home to come and save my marriage. And he heard that she was already huffing and puffing around the house, and he was flying back from New Jersey to California, I guess. I'm not sure if California or Atlanta. Right? And then before he got there, she had already left and then packed out a lot of stuff out of the house. And then he said technically he was robbed, but because he would never know what was taken out of the house. He also alleged that she put a cover over the Ring camera so that they won't have evidence that he actually showed up to the house, right? Then he also made allegations against the wife that she claimed, well, in the court papers, that credit cards were disconnected, and then he claimed that, well, these credit cards were connected, they were joint accounts that they used to have together, and he disconnected all of it. He used his own mouth to say all the properties are on his own name, and still Tyrese cannot figure out why his wife left him, because as far as he's concerned, he never cheated. I never cheated. He kept saying, I never cheated. I don't know what I did. Can anybody tell me what I did wrong? Can anybody guess what was possibly, based off of what he's accepted or admitted himself, right? Can anybody, right? Tyrese in that interview with Breakfast Club admitted to jumping on the internet and saying a bunch of lies about a bunch of people, his personal friends, personal relationships, and those things were never true. He admitted that he filmed himself 12 minutes, but he does not remember ever filming those stuff because potentially, allegedly, he was on some psych med. Is it possible that he had been putting on some behavior in that household while the wife was trying to stay with him, but he doesn't remember any of it? Can that be used against him in the court of law? Right? Now, Samantha, there's two things I want to point out from Samantha. Samantha was on, what's the name of this show? Dear Future Wife, with that brother over there, with an interview like a year ago. And I think she said something to the effect that she never believed in divorce. Right? She said she never believed in divorce. Let me see if I can play that real quick. Chinye Alpha, how you there? Let's see here.
What I've been taught about divorce.
What have you been taught about divorce?
Just because what I've been taught about divorce.
What have you been taught about divorce?
You should never do it. That it shouldn't happen.
And you know, it's crazy. They say you should never do it. Do they ever tell you reasons why you should do it?
No.
No, because it's an abomination. She's also from a woman of the cloth, a woman of faith school of thought. Tyrese is also Tyrese cannot say 2 or 3 sentences without talking about God, which on the surface it sounds good and sweet and all, right? But if an average person keeps doing that, at some point you gotta start looking at it as, what's the value in this exactly? Not God, but the fact that people think somehow they figured something out because they can speak in every other sentence. God told me this, God said this. What else do you have? Is there any substance in what you are doing? Forget what you say in general. Your actions, right? Now, if you let me see what Chi just said real quickly before I continue. She said, cheating is not the only thing. He's a coconut head and sounds like a very difficult person to deal with. For many of us, this is already obvious. Somehow it's not obvious. Tyrese sounds like one of those people that would say there's no such thing as manipulation. It's women that created these terms to shame men. And then when you start digging in deeper, you're like, no, there are men like us. There are men like us that are actually much older, that have done a lot of studies, that have done these studies deeper than what is tangible, than what you can see. Good to see you, Brother Patrick. Right? Tyrese sounds like the kind of person that no one can tell him that this behavior is controlling behavior and manipulative. As soon as your wife, still your legal wife, left the house, 4 days later, you went back to New Jersey, according to what he said with his own mouth. You went back to New Jersey and you changed the locks. Listen, I'm not even trying to play holy and dadao here. Let me be honest with you. If I didn't know any better, I would engage the same behavior. Gentlemen, I'm talking to you now. I feel you when you say, when your mind automatically goes into, let me use this other tactic to control the situation, and then it works against you. It's still called manipulative and controlling behavior, right? Why? Well, there are a couple of things, couple of signs that you know that you're operating from a place of manipulation. When you're operating from a place of fear, right? When you don't have faith, when you're not operating from a place of faith, I need to make sure this is a real world. No, we're talking about emotional issues right now. We're talking about just you're right and somebody else is wrong. That's all we're talking about right now. We're not talking about you're building a bridge. We're not talking about you're changing the plumbing in the house. No, not today. We're talking about emotional breakdown in communication between you and your wife, right? When you are completely disconnected from what is going on, you think you want to use tangible stuff, like for example, disconnect her from the credit cards, the joint account that she's used with you for at least a year, because your daughter was at least 1 year old at that point in time. You change the locks on the whole house that you live in together. In addition to the fact that you've admitted with your own mouth that her name is not on any of the documents, is it possible that another human being might feel like, wait, what? Why is another human being controlling my life? I'm out. Even if you've never cheated, even if your own idea, you're a good man. Ladies, let me tell you something. A lot of you are confused too, okay? You really think that the issues with relationships is the serial cheater who doesn't care. No. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you're a lot of people that are with those type of people, they don't care either. They're like, oh, he's what's it about Shielo? That's what they say. A lot of the issues, majority of the issues that we're dealing with relationships are in people that feel like they are good people, quote unquote Christians. God said. Samantha is one of them. Tyrese is one of them. Right? Let me play this video. Let's see why Samantha got with Tyrese. This gentleman was asking some fantastic questions. Go and watch it when we're done with this. We still got more to talk about. So go and watch this over there when you get a chance. Let me play this really quickly. Let's see. Boom.
Around this. What made you marry this individual to start off with?
I married him because he was the most intentional man I had ever met. I mean, he was very clear. You know, we went on our first date. He was like, "You the one. We are gonna get married. We gonna have kids. You gonna bounce back. We gonna do the, you know." And I was like, man, I never met a man that just came in from a place of like, you know, I've been praying, I've been nesting, I've been preparing for my wife, and you know, you check off all the boxes. I've been dating for a while and seen a lot of things, and you just meet every single criteria.
There you have it. Intentional. Clear. All those things are beautiful on paper, right? Right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? But are those the only green flags you need before you can move forward with a person? That they're actually competent, that they can actually pull off being a husband. Is that all you need? An intentional man. I'm guessing she didn't say this part, but I'm guessing he was also speaking a lot of, you know, God said, God told me this, that, right? I'm guessing he was doing all those kind of things too, right? That's why we're writing a book called The Number One Red Flag. Okay? God fearing is not good enough. I'm sorry. Not because of God, right? Not because God fearing is not a beautiful thing. Because it needs to be backed with action. You need to back that up with action. You can't just say I'm God fearing. You can't just be looking for God fearing. When somebody says something nice to you that sounds like God fearing, you're just, you gotta take it easy. Get to know them. How do you feel around them? Are you seeing some things that's like, wait. It's a lot of words. Is it backed up with action, right? And if we know anything about people that speak, that talk a lot, there's so much energy that you have. It usually means a lot of that energy that's going to talking is basically energy away from action. When we talk about apology, you know, Tyrese was tendering some apologies. He kept apologizing on the show. Right? He kept apologizing on the show. And I'm like, why are you, when people start to apologize, if they, I'm sorry, if they are doing things like that, right? There's certain types of ladies that fall for this type of things, and you have to be very, very careful. Okay? It's usually the assertive ladies that fall for this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. I know you want to be assertive and all that. It's usually them because they're looking for things that look good on paper. They're not paying attention to how they feel. Because why? Because they are more logical than the rest of us. Right? But actually they need to be paying attention to feelings. That's why I would bring in emotional intelligence, social intelligence. It's cute when people can say all the right thing or the right things. But you have to pay a little bit more attention than that. And it's hard to do that and say, hey, this means that. That's why you need to have an experience with them. That's why you need to go on a date, get to know them over a period of time. You need to respect process, patience. Because a lot of things you will miss a lot of things because you're zoned in on pragmatic nonsense that usually does not respect the nature of human beings, which is human beings don't really give a shit about anything outside of their feelings. They don't. Humans, we don't care about anything outside of our feelings, including when we are calling the name of God. It's because of security. It's because it makes us feel a little safer than if we didn't. I'm back. Sorry about that. We have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful. So I'm saying, am I saying not be intentional? I'm saying all your intentionalities without emotional intelligence is useless. That's what I'm saying. Okay? All your intentionality or T's without emotional intelligence is the waste. You need to understand your own emotions. so that you can actually use that skill set to observe other people on how they move emotionally, right? Do they understand their own emotions? We don't need them to be perfect. We just want them to be aware. We don't want them to be in denial about emotions as a terrible way to move in life. As a terrible, like emotional intelligence is different from emotions. We need them to be aware that when you're apologizing, other human beings start looking at you weird. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you apologizing? Right? Samantha admitted in that interview that she owed grudges. Someone like Tyrese cannot figure that out in the beginning because he was probably moving like a macho man. I'm a man of God. He probably didn't pay attention to that. She said she can hold grudges for, let's use our own words. How about that?
I was taught to hold a grudge.
Listen to that
I
carefully.
pounded with all the past.
Oh man, there's so many. I was taught to hold a grudge. My family, that's how we moved. We moved in anger,
Yeah.
in sense of like, okay, if I'm mad with you, I'm mad with you forever.
Yeah.
There is no way that we could go this whole course of our life and never speak because of one situation, and that is what I was taught.
Yeah.
Or that was what was reinforced.
Now, that is a red flag. A red flag does not mean you can't move forward. It just means move with caution. It just means have a conversation around that, right? But somebody admitting to that on a public platform like that, listen, they might be trying to actually push against that to the point that they keep doing it until one day they don't want to take it anymore. And no, it's not until you've cheated on them in your own matrimonial bed that they will leave you. Sometimes it's all emotional, right? It's that day that you said something that you didn't realize you've offended her, right? It's that day that she felt like she didn't get to have a say on how she wanted to move, but she also is afraid to tell you the truth. A lot of women will actually try to protect the feelings of their husband, and that's actually a negative because it's resentment that's building over time, right? And the day that thing busts open, you're not going to be able to cover it back up again. And it sounds like that's what happened to Tyrese. And Tyrese is running around social media talking about he still has no idea why his wife left him, even though he admitted to changing all the locks 4 days after she left. Is Tyrese one of those people that say, well, once you leave, you can't come back into this house? Is Tyrese one of those people? Is that a good reason why a person might never want to come back? Like, they're like, you know what? Good riddance to bad rubbish. Shout out to you, Paula. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate you. More Fresh. Hello. Good to see you. Is that a good reason for that? Because Tyrese doesn't know why. Let's go through a list of things said by Tyrese himself, right? Psych med, right? In real time, he's attacking, even though those ones had their own issues too, right? Tyrese there's a lot of entitlement in his tone, in his rhetoric, right? It's too like, I can't start counting them, right? Why? Because I'm a good man. A person's supposed to have a good reason to leave me. No, they could actually just wake up one day and just leave you for no reason. It doesn't have to be your fault. They could just be sick in the head. And if you go into the internet and go and tell the whole world they're sick in the head, it gets worse for you. Especially if you have legal cases going on. Coconut head. Tyrese was that guy who, his lawyer told him, just pay $2,200. The judge said pay $10,000 every month. Lawyer said pay $2,200 every month. By the time they were done with the case, he was owing so much money. And then all the legal fees, the lawyer fees from him and from the ex-wife to be, basically came back on him $630-something thousand. Judgment against him in one day. Now, it's probably not going to have to pay all of that. but then he's surprised that all these things are happening. It's the idea that he's actually surprised that if you go onto the internet, you run your mouth against the judge in charge of your case before the case is finished, that you can collect. It's the surprise that this is the fact that he's surprised that I'm not getting.
Are you playing? What type of playing is this? This is playing.
He kept saying, I've never cheated, I've never lied. People that have never cheated, I've never lied, let me give you news. They are the worst when it comes to manipulative tactics and controlling behavior. When it comes to unrealistic expectations, they tend to be the worst. Because remember, they walk a straight line. They've never offended anybody before, right? So they literally expect you to move that way, and that's unrealistic because human beings are not your mates. They are mad, okay? Right? So they get surprised when they find out that everybody is not necessarily walking in straight lines. Some people are just like, they want to do the right thing, but sometimes they listen. Survival is key, right? And survival is at every level. Sometimes emotionally, sometimes physically, sometimes financially. People do what they got to do to survive. Right? It's a competition. It's an active marketplace. Yes, they can take your wife for no reason. Even when you were trying to be a good man. Right? And people like Tyrese tend to be like, and that's why they kept repeating, I never cheated, I never lied. The fact that you kept saying that, and you've been saying that, and you're saying it so loud to millions upon millions of monitoring spirit tells me it's given entitlement. Right? So now you release the song. Is this love or just a transaction? Of course, they always try to oversimplify things, bring it to an exact science. Everything is a transaction. No. Romantic love is never going to be a transaction. Keep fantasizing. It will never be. One day, tomorrow, like tomorrow, right now, you're going to fall in love. Stupidly like you did before, just like the rest of us. It makes no logical sense, but you're going to do it anyway. How do I know? Let me play this small video I found online for you of Tyrese not too long ago. He has a new girlfriend called Zelly. He's heads over heel in love with Zelly now. And they had a breakup not too long ago for a short while. I think they're still together. And this is, again, a news that broke out from that. Let me play for you.
Encouraging Tyrese to seek therapy and consider staying single for a while. Tyrese is in a real bad way once again because it seems he broke up with his lady love Zelly Timothy. Amongst many other things he posted, "Stop trying to convince me that your daughter is not a snake. I just want to be released from this strong devilish allure, the sexual seduction of a master manipulator. And please, God, release me from your poison, release me from your stronghold, release me, I belong to the kingdom, I have so much more work to do." Tyrese claimed that his former girlfriend didn't want to get married and encouraged people to DM her. Many are encouraging Tyrese,
if I remember very well, was begging people to please DM her. He was talking kingdom talk, God talk, all this nice stuff. Listen, I'm not against those things. All right. But if majority of your conversation is around those type of rhetoric, right, please make sure that there's substance inside. That's all I'm saying. Because no one is going to escape the work that it takes to build a real relationship. As you can see, the behavior is consistent. Again, begging the whole world. I don't know, he might have been on a med that day too. Who knows, right? But are these all good reasons why a person who's only been married to you for 1 year might decide, you know what? My whole life is ahead of me. I can't. Like, I have to. Is that a good reason why somebody might do that? Yeah? Is that a good reason? So when you get in trouble, you're like, you know what? It says transaction. It's all transaction. No, it's never going to be transaction because he just fell in love again. Before he finalized divorce, he just fell in love and he's already moving mad. Meaning losing his mind. On top, some random chick that's just with you right now because you're Tyrese. Right? He's claiming that he doesn't know his ex-wife anymore. No, that's that unfair fight that's going on. You're not supposed to know her. Remember, she wouldn't do that when she's in the house, and she's still open to having a life with you, a lifetime of love, bliss. Even when she forgives you a little bit, she might not even tell you that she forgave you. All right. So the question now is that they have a prenup, ironclad prenup, and he claims that they're trying to crack that. They're trying to crack that prenup. You know, a prenup, if it's really good, will protect you financially, but it's not going to protect your heart. You're not going to escape the actual work that it needs. As long as you're going to be having sex with people and having children with them, prenup will not protect you. Okay? It will protect your money, and they can still try to crack it like they're trying to crack it right now. They're trying to crack it because apparently, according to reports, he signed a prenup that says if there's no context, whatever. But if there's context, then he will choose to pay all of the legal fees, all the lawyer fees and stuff like that. So they're trying to crack it even further open. If you sign a prenup like that again, prenup is good. Okay? Prenup is good. Even post-nup is good. Do what you gotta do. But stop capping. You're falling in love with another human being. You're going to need a little bit more skills than just prenup to protect you and all the parties involved. You need to learn how this works. And no, oversimplifying romantic relationships down to transaction is not going to work. You are capping big time. You're going to hurt yourself in that process. So of course it went in the direction of talking about men are not able to express themselves. Shout out to Brother Ben. Brother Ben said we can't tell the truth, right? Struggles everywhere, man. Men can't express their hurt anymore. Listen, no, that's an attempt to oversimplifying a very complex issue. You can express your hurt, okay, but you also have all the rights to all the consequences of running your mouth mad on the internet. Like, every man should be okay with that. Like, it is what it is. Like, there's an ecosystem. That ecosystem involves emotional beings, right? Yes, they will emotionally manipulate you back. Tyrese is one of the, like many manipulators, they use gaslight before you. They call you a simp before you get to it because they are the simp actually. They use they say you are manipulating them when in fact they are actually doing that in real time, right? That's literally what he's doing. And the sad part is, it's not exactly being intentional, okay? It's not exact science is my point, right? But he's doing it because it's a coping mechanism, right? It's trying to get a point across. So whenever it doesn't have the skill to get the point across, it doesn't have the patience, the skills, it doesn't understand how it works, effective communication, they resort to manipulative tactics. And then the first thing they do is they say, hey, you're gaslighting me, you're manipulating me. How do I know? Because it's all fear. It's like, no, you're out to get me, you want to hurt me, right? No. Can men just express themselves? No, you can't. Okay, that's number one. If women are involved and you're going to come off as you're attacking women, no, you're not going to get to express yourself. They'll shut you down because you're not going to be able to beat them at that game. Because naturally, they will also feel a feeling to defend themselves. Even if you're not talking about them in particular, even if you're talking in general, yes, they will have a feeling. And the fact that you don't expect this kind of pushback is weird. Because that's part of the signs of lack of emotional intelligence, and particularly social intelligence as a subset of that. Okay? So there's a big illusion with this man. A big illusion, okay? In addition to again, I don't know what's going on with him. Clinically, I can't speak too much to that. So again, as usual, I'm going to tell the truth. He said, if you think I shouldn't speak the truth, F you. See, he's going to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. That's called insanity. Right? That's called insanity. Of course, he brought up the fact that women lack accountability. Okay? When people say women lack accountability, which I do allude to sometimes too. Listen, I'm a man just like you, right? I've collected my own fair share of shege from my own romantic lover. This is just what comes with it, okay? When you have conflict and you have crisis in a romantic relationship, the same passion that you're loving each other with is how you're going to collect shege. It's true for all of us. But that's just that moment. That's a temporary situation. It's your responsibility to lead yourselves out of that funk. If you don't have the skill set, you will resort to things like women lack accountability. Okay? No, what they're talking about accountability, that she should be an adult too. We should be equal. It's essentially you buying into the idea that you and your woman, you're equal. When actually you should be playing the equity game and not equality, because equality is unrealistic. It doesn't make any sense. She expects you to do chivalry, right? But she expects you at the same time to be equal. It's going to make sense. When you start to count it, it's not making sense. And she doesn't want that really. She might say she wants that, but she's going to find out eventually that no, I want to still be your lover, not your equal homie. It's confusion, right? But you bought into it. And then you start saying things like women lack accountability. Right? If she was looking for equality, she will make sure that she put in 50-50 into the house. She will make sure that she's not just cut off a credit card randomly, willy-nilly. She clearly doesn't want equality. What makes you think you can hold her accountable like you're holding your employee accountable? Could make sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's where your confusion is coming from. You've disengaged from your power and you've engaged the emotionality and victimhood. And that's what, and there's a lot of men doing that today. And that, an example of it is Tyrese. And he still doesn't know what he did wrong. Can you imagine what he did when they were married? I don't know what he did. But the result is not good. That's a fact that we know today. You know what I mean? I'm getting to it. We're going to talk about Moyo in a second. He made an analogy that was about pit bull, that he's just a pit bull, that once you come inside, he will love you. I'm like, bro, if you're a pit bull and you're barking at the gate, I'm not coming inside that gate. People like me, I'm not coming inside. It's as simple as that. Oh yeah, but it's okay. You can come inside. The people will just love on you. No, human beings don't work like that. They basically go by how they feel around you. Feelings. No, not cheating. There's a lot of women that chill with people that stay with people that cheat on them. Okay, why? Because I don't know, they still getting some kind of value. It might be toxic, but they stay. But they will leave in a heartbeat if it doesn't feel right. Okay, they will live in a heartbeat if it feels like you're choking or smothering life. If it feels like it doesn't mean you actually have your hands around their neck, right? And of course, Tyrese said, what's wrong with keeping the same energy? It's unrealistic. You can't keep the same energy. You're supposed to be the king, she's your queen. You can't keep the same energy. That's stupid. You gotta come up with something else. Come up with something else that understands the emotions at play. That understand, don't worry about her emotions, that understand your emotions at play. You need to start with that first, and then we have 2 more steps after that before we worry about her. Okay? But anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. So Tyrese has a lot of issues going on. I don't know when it comes to, there's this young lady on the internet, one of the people you need to watch out for. Gentlemen, if you're listening to this person, be careful. They don't care about you. They don't want to help you. I'm going to play this video, this short clip, really quickly. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, yeah, this one right here. Let me play this short clip.
At the shared. You leave me, you take my daughter from me, from us. You want me to leave my credit card active that we both shared, so it could be open season to charge my credit card on whatever you want? That doesn't make any logical sense.
Again, logical sense. His logic is disconnected. His idea of logic is disconnected from the emotions at play when your wife, the mother of your child with 1-year-old, right, has just left you, right? Probably she's asking for space. Obviously, there's been issues in that relationship, right? And she left, and within 4 days, the first thought that came to your mind is to disconnect access to the account. Your child is with her, right? One of the first few thoughts, as you say, because now they're going to pick on that and say, he didn't say the first choice, see, because they're always stuck on this exact science nonsense. The point is that within 4 days, you disconnected the credit cards, you changed the locks on the house. They actually came back, tried to grab stuff, they can't grab stuff anymore, right? Maybe they came back, maybe she would have seen picture and say, you know what, let me have a conversation with him. Well, you're like, no. Since you left, just leave, right? If that's what the result of that is, that she's not fighting fair. And you have to be ready to fight. Once you put up fight like that, you have to be ready to fight. And no, you shouldn't expect her to be the same person. So it's no wonder why you say you don't really know her like that. Yeah, of course you don't know her, right? That makes sense, right? Let's keep going.
You packed up all your shit and left the house while I was out of town working on the movie?
That's him admitting to what he did.
I have to go back out of town to go finish making this movie? You think I'm about to leave my house wide open for you?
You heard my house wide open for you, the mother, wife, actual wife, who is obviously upset, left the house. Okay, you think about to leave my house open? Okay, so is it possible that Tyrese is like, well, she does this all the time. She will go to her friend's house, her best friend's house, and then come back later, and then we'll settle. I'm not gonna let it this time. Is it possible that Tyrese was like, you know what, I'm locking all the doors as a form of control? Is it possible? Well, when she records this into legal documents, into the court documents, do you think she's gonna speak the story, tell the story from your point of view? What kind of unrealistic expectations is that? Issues, pride. Do you see pride in all of this? Pride, unrealistic expectations.
You and all your friends to do a home invasion again and steal
Home invasion, accusing her of home invasion.
all the shit out of the house? I still don't know what she took to this day. I got robbed. Yes, we resided in the same house, but I'm the only one with legal paperwork that says that I actually own the home. So technically, I was actually robbed.
He's still in the middle of the court case, and he uses his mouth to admit to everything he did wrong, even though he thinks that he's just telling the truth. Right? These are the reasons why she left you. Maybe there are other reasons. Maybe she's a cheater. Maybe she's just evil. But this, I guarantee you, are some of the reasons why she left.
A home invasion, and there were 6 accomplices that stole all out the house. What did they steal? What did they take? Her belongings? Did they take any of my belongings? I don't know. I wasn't there. She never sent me any photos or videos of anything that was taken out of the house. But one thing's for sure, I never put her and my daughter out of the house.
So obviously Samantha lied about getting kicked out of the house. She ran the social media.
All right, so this lady, her name is Pink Book Lessons. She's one of the people you gentlemen need to watch out for. She does not have your best interest at heart, okay? Maybe she's showing empathy. I appreciate the empathy for men, feeling for men and trying to protect men, but ultimately it doesn't help, okay? Unless she's the one you're trying to marry. And then at that point in time, when she does end up marrying you, we will see if she actually plays what she's demonstrating, which is like, because the first thing she said, I've listened to some of her stuff, is bullshit. Obviously she lied. We don't know who lied. Everybody's telling the story from their own point of view, their own experience, okay? The same experience. Somebody changed the locks on paper, technically speaking, 4 days after you left. He does have a right to do that since you left. Is that going to generate the actual result he's looking for? The answer is no, okay? She goes back to the court and tells the court, well, I got locked out of the house because she's actually married to this man. Just because she as an adult left the house for a few days does not mean that they shouldn't come up with an arrangement for her to get her stuff out. So she has the child too. Yes, she can say that I was locked out, right? 2 different experience, same events. When you go back to your husband and say you're a liar, when you go back to your wife and say you're a liar, Emma, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. I'm not saying that people don't outrightly lie sometimes, but for the most part, when people say you're a liar, it's just somebody trying to make a point out of their own personal experience and want to discard or discount the other person's experience. These are the issues.
Put her and my daughter out of the house.
So obviously Samantha lied about getting kicked out of the house.
How did she conclude that Samantha lied by getting kicked out of the house? We gotta be careful.
She ran the social media into the court with that story in order to gain sympathy. Tyrese, though, he seems to be surprised.
There's only one person, at least from what I could see on my feeds, my news feeds, that seems like they're seeking sympathy here. And that's Tyrese, and that's why it keeps working against him. Tyrese is not necessarily wrong. Okay? And I haven't heard much from Samantha. She has a podcast that she talks generic stuff. She doesn't talk about her marriage at all, for the most part. But I just stumbled into it yesterday. But Tyrese is so loud that he seems like is the one looking for. He seems like it's the one looking for what do you call it? Sympathy all over the place. So if you think Tyrese is right,
well, you're right.
And if you think Samantha is right,
well, you're right.
All I'm saying is that that's not relevant. Okay? It's not relevant. Okay? Not relevant. And it will never be relevant. And the judges will not, they might use it to have a discussion here and there. It doesn't matter. You have to have emotional intelligence. You have to accompany that with social intelligence, power intelligence, self-intelligence. Okay? The controlling tactics, they will never work. It definitely doesn't work on the public. That's why it's now feeling like nobody's on the side. If you know him, tell him to seek help. The rest of his life is ahead of him. It can be beautiful again. But that fight he's putting up is not going to work in his favor or the favor of his ex-wife or his children. He will just drag everybody he loves in the woto. That's what's going to happen, you know. Max says Tyrese talks as if he owned his ex-wife. Exactly. I ain't gonna